Let me ask you something. Have you ever known something was bad for you and did it anyway? Maybe you stayed up until 3 a.m. even though you had work the next morning. Maybe you ate an entire pizza after telling yourself you'd eat healthy this week. Maybe you're watching this video right now instead of doing something important. And the crazy part, you had a reason. A perfectly logical, completely convincing reason. You told yourself a story, and you believed it. But here's the truth, that story wasn't logic. That was your brain lying to you, and today we're going to catch it in the act. 1957, a psychologist named Leon Festinger published a theory that would change how we understand human behavior forever. He noticed that humans don't just want to be right, they need to feel consistent. We need our beliefs, our actions, and our identity to all line up neatly, like puzzle pieces, and when they don't, when something we do contradicts something we believe, our brain doesn't just shrug it off, it panics. Festinger called this panic cognitive dissonance. The word dissonance means two things that clash, like two musical notes that sound terrible together. And that's exactly what it feels like inside your head. An uncomfortable, nagging tension that your brain desperately wants to resolve. Studies have shown that this discomfort activates the same regions of the brain associated with physical pain. Your brain literally treats a contradicting thought like a threat to your survival. To prove this, Festinger ran one of the most famous psychology experiments in history. He brought participants into a lab and had them do an incredibly boring task, turning wooden pegs on a board, over and over, for an entire hour. Absolutely mind-numbing. Afterwards, he asked them to tell the next participant waiting outside that the task was actually really fun and exciting. In other words, he asked them to lie. Here's where it gets interesting. Half the participants were paid $1 to tell this lie. The other half were paid $20. Now logic would say the people paid more would feel better about lying. Right, wrong, the complete opposite happened. When researchers followed up later, the people paid only $1 actually believed the task was enjoyable. But the $20 group, they still thought it was boring. Why? Because the $20 group had a good reason to lie, the money. Their brain could say, I lied for the cash, and move on. But the $1 group had almost no justification. So their brain did something remarkable, it rewrote the memory. It convinced them the task was genuinely fun, because the alternative, admitting they lied for basically nothing, was too uncomfortable to accept. What exactly does your brain do when it feels this discomfort? It has 3 main escape routes, and it uses all of them constantly without you even noticing. Escape route 1, change your belief. Let's say you smoke, but you know smoking causes cancer, that's dissonance. So your brain quietly edits the belief, well, the research isn't 100% conclusive. Suddenly the danger feels smaller and the tension disappears. Escape route 2, add a new belief to justify the old one. My grandfather smoked every day and lived until he was 94. Now you have evidence, cherry-picked, selective evidence, but your brain accepts it like gospel. Escape route 3, shrink the importance of the conflict entirely. We're all going to die someday anyway, might as well enjoy life. The threat is still there, but it's been minimized to the point where it no longer causes discomfort. Notice what all 3 routes have in common. None of them involve actually quitting smoking. The brain doesn't go to the hard solution. It takes the shortcut, because the goal was never truth, the goal was comfort. Here's what makes this so dangerous. Cognitive dissonance isn't something that only happens to other people. It's happening to you, right now, in ways you probably don't even recognize. Think about the last expensive thing you bought. The moment you handed over that money, your brain started working overtime to convince you it was worth it. You started noticing only the good things about it. You ignored the flaws. You recommended it to friends, not because it was perfect, but because your brain couldn't live with the idea that you made a bad decision. Think about a relationship you stayed in too long. Every week you stayed was another investment, time, emotion, energy, identity. And the more you invested, the harder it became to leave, because leaving would mean all of that was wasted. So your brain kept whispering, it'll get better. They're not that bad, nobody's perfect. Or think about the last time you judged someone harshly for something you secretly do yourself. Psychologists call this projection, and it's often driven by dissonance. Attacking someone else for a behavior is easier than confronting it in yourself. So can you escape it? Not completely, but you can get better at catching it. And the single most powerful tool you have is a question, 5 words. Am I reasoning or rationalizing? Reasoning means you follow the evidence wherever it leads, even if you don't like the destination. Rationalizing means you've already decided where you want to go, and you're just building a road to get there. When you feel that defensive discomfort, when someone challenges a belief and your first instinct is to push back hard, pause, that discomfort is a signal. It means 2 things are clashing. And instead of letting your brain quietly resolve it with a lie, you can choose to sit with it, to examine it, to actually grow. Your brain isn't broken, it's not weak. It's doing exactly what it was built to do, protect you from pain, including the pain of being wrong. But now you know the trick. And every time you catch your brain mid-lie, you get a little sharper, a little more honest, a little more in control. That's what Brainsphere Cortex is here for, to decode the strange, uncomfortable, fascinating things your mind does every day. Subscribe, because your brain has a lot more secrets.